Hi, I'm Connor Lambert, and welcome to Fantasy on the Clock, the destination for all your fantasy hesitation. Today I'll be covering all fantasy baseball news and rankings you desire. From COVID updates to injury issues, there is more fantasy to go over than ever before. I will discuss all the rankings and fantasy insight to help you win your league. Now, despite the ongoing pandemic, the MLB plans to play a full 162-game season. To recap some of the biggest offseason moves, players traded include Nolan Arenado to the Cardinals, Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco to the Mets, and Yu Darvish and Blake Snell to the Padres. While notable free agent signings included Liam Hendriks to the White Sox, Trevor Bauer to the Dodgers, George Springer and Marcus Semien to the Blue Jays, Charlie Morton to the Braves, and James Paxton to the Mariners. To start spring training, Indians ace Shane Bieber tested positive for COVID, though he had very minor symptoms, and he should be ready to go for this season. Now, a new rule has been put in place, saying that if a team becomes 85% vaccinated, then the team's COVID protocols will loosen up. And Cincinnati Reds first baseman Joey Votto is one of the early season's players to test positive for COVID, while the Washington Nationals dealt with a team-wide spread just before opening day. 4 players tested positive, but 5 players were deemed close contacts, and all are out at least a week to start the season. The players impacted include Josh Bell, Kyle Schwarber, Josh Harrison, Yan Gomes, Alex Avila, Patrick Corbin, John Lester, Brad Hand, and Jordy Mercer. Injuries have already started to pile up just as the 2021 season is getting underway. A big blow came to a good Chicago White Sox team, as outfielder Eloy Jimenez has a ruptured left pectoral tendon and will be out for up to 5 to 6 months. Wow. Another big injury is Yankees first baseman Luke Voit, who needs surgery for a partial meniscus tear in his right knee, though he could be back before the end of June. Most recently, San Diego Padres star shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. injured his shoulder on a swing and miss. It was revealed that Tatis' shoulder popped in and out of place, and further examination showed a slight labrum tear in his shoulder. But the Padres lucked out, though, as there is no inflammation or damage to the bone structure, so he could be back after the 10-day minimum on injured list. Batters were not the only big injuries, though, as Tampa Bay Rays reliever Nick Anderson has a partially torn ligament in his pitching elbow and will be out until at least the All-Star break, although surgery is not expected. Other players dealing with injuries include Diamondbacks ace Zach Gallen with a hairline fracture, Carlos Carrasco with a hamstring injury, and Toronto Blue Jays new closer Kirby Yates is out for the season after undergoing Tommy John surgery. That's a big loss for them. And pitchers such as Noah Syndergaard, Luis Severino, Mike Soroka, Seth Lugo, and Chris Sale are all working back from various injuries and should be back at some point this season. This season there will no longer be a DH in the National League, which will make it tough for players like Garrett Cooper and Marcell Ozuna to get in the lineup every day. And going into the rankings, catcher is one of the toughest positions to project going into a season. Just like tight ends in football, there are only a few surefire options. JT Realmuto and Salvador Perez are the 2 top at their position, with the rest being more hit or miss. And if you don't get one of the top options at catcher, then you can just stream players or use the no-catcher strategy. First base is one of the deepest positions in all of fantasy baseball, with multiple players in the top 100. The clear-cut top option to me is Freddie Freeman of the Braves. Last season, he hit .341 with 13 home runs, leading to be the National League MVP. Next is the American League MVP, Jose Abreu, who led the American League in hits with 76, and also led the league in RBIs for the second year in a row with 60. Abreu and Freeman both had over 4.5 points per game last season, proving why they were the MVPs. And one of my favorite first base targets is Luke Voit on the Yankees. He is the only other first baseman to have over 4 points per game last season, and even though he's sidelined after having surgery, he'll be a huge boost for the rest of the season. Players like Josh Bell, Pete Alonso, and Matt Olson all can have a bounce-back season after underperforming in 2020, and could be very high-risk, high-reward players. But one of the biggest stories coming out of spring training this year has been Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and how well he's been playing. Coming to spring training, it was reported that he lost up to 42 pounds in the offseason, and so far it's paid off, as he's hitting .444 batting average this spring and is a big breakout candidate this year. And 2 of the most consistent first basemen are Paul Goldschmidt and Anthony Rizzo, who every year show why they are ranked in the top 100 overall players and could fill in big for someone who has Luke Voit. A first base eligible player I really like is the Orioles' Ryan Mountcastle, who was burst onto the scene last season after hitting .333 in 35 games, and should be an everyday player in the middle of the Orioles lineup. A highly touted prospect who can make a splash at first base is Andrew Vaughn of the Chicago White Sox. Already projected for a big role this season, he could get even more chances with Eloy Jimenez out a while, and the White Sox have even started playing him in left field to help him get his bat in the lineup. Next is second baseman. One of the tougher positions to draft, is very top-heavy, and after the first 9 or 10, there's a considerable drop-off. Top second baseman to me is DJ LeMahieu of the Yankees. Last season, he led the American League with a .364 batting average, while also leading the league in on-base percentage and on-base plus slugging percentages. The next top two second basemen are Whit Merrifield of the Royals and Ozzie Albies of the Braves. Whit Merrifield is one of the most durable and consistent players in all the league, after playing all 60 games last season while hitting .282 with 12 stolen bases. Despite only playing in 29 games last season, Ozzie Albies is just 24 years old, and in 2019, he led the National League in at-bats and hits, and in such a thin position, he's worth the early draft pick in most drafts. Some of the next top options at second base include Ketel Marte, Brandon Lowe, and Jeff McNeil. All very consistent hitters you can depend on. The hitters Keston Hiura and Jose Altuve are both looking for a bounce-back year after a rough 2020 season, where they both hit under .220, but I've shown before that they have sky-high ceilings to go with those low floors. Some later targets for second base I like are Dylan Moore, Nick Madrigal, Andres Gimenez, and way later, Tommy La Stella. All have some solid floors, and some can have some breakout seasons, such as Andres Gimenez with the Indians. Third base is one of the premier positions in baseball, with a lot of value players, and 12 players ranked inside the top 100. It is one of my favorite positions in baseball because of how many stars and intriguing players there are each year. The consensus top third baseman is Cleveland Indians' Jose Ramirez, finishing in second for MVP voting and winning his third Silver Slugger Award in the 2020 season, all while leading the American League in runs with 45. Another popular option at third base is Manny Machado of the Padres. In his second season in San Diego, Machado really stepped it up with a .304 batting average and finishing third for the National League MVP. Machado should once again be a good source for power and RBIs in a stacked Padres lineup. The next couple third basemen are Alex Bregman, Anthony Rendon, and Nolan Arenado, all with a bright outlook this season. Alex Bregman is out to show that last season's struggles were a fluke, and he is more than just a part of the Astros cheating scandal. While Anthony Rendon is looking to once again lead the league in doubles after leading with 44 in 2 of the past 3 seasons, showing he's a dependable option each year. Out of these 3, Nolan Arenado might be the most interesting. A perennial all-star with the Rockies, he was traded in a blockbuster deal this offseason to the St. Louis Cardinals. Known for his gold glove with 1 in every season he's played, he's also shown his bat one of the best in baseball after placing in top 8 MVP voting in 5 of the last 6 seasons. Hitting behind another top MVP candidate in Paul Goldschmidt, Arenado will have plenty of RBI opportunities in the heart of a great Cardinals offense. Some third base breakout candidates are Ke'Bryan Hayes and Alec Bohm, with Bohm finishing as second for Rookie of the Year voting in 2020, and Hayes is a favorite to win the award this year after hitting .376 in 24 games last season. One of the most controversial rankings is shortstops, as fantasy players everywhere value these stars differently than most positions. The top 3 who have the highest ceiling are Fernando Tatis Jr., Trey Turner, and Trevor Story. A top 3 player in all of baseball, Tatis Jr. came in 4th in MVP voting in his first full season in 2020, which led to a 14-year extension for $340 million. Despite his recent injury, no matter when he's back, he is a game changer who can swing any matchup in your favor. If you're looking for stolen bases, look no further than National shortstop Trey Turner. One of the fastest players in the league, Turner has started to show that he is more than just a speed threat. Turner led the league in hits in 2020 with a .335 batting average in 59 games. And playing in a contract year, Trevor Story is out to prove that he can play at a high level outside of Coors Field. Last season, he led the league in triples and stolen bases, showing his diverse skill set and making him more than worthy of a top 12 pick. Other star shortstops include Francisco Lindor in his first season with the Mets, Xander Bogaerts, 2020 World Series MVP Corey Seager, Bo Bichette, and Tim Anderson of the White Sox is a boost with a high batting average. Although he's banked up to start the season, Adalberto Mondesi of the Royals has such a high ceiling, His speed can carry your team to the playoffs just like he did at the end of last year. Next is outfielders. Probably the deepest position in all of baseball, there's a lot of value to be found here, with the top 27 outfielders ranked in the top 100. Though the order is interchangeable to some, the top 4 for sure are Mookie Betts, Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto, and Mike Trout. The run-up for MVP last season, Mookie Betts is pivotal in the Dodgers World Series championship. The trade for Betts from the Red Sox is one of the best in recent history, and he has paid off by leading the league in runs in 2 of the past 3 seasons. The former Rookie of the Year, Ronald Acuna Jr. contributes in every category, and he is a favorite to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases. While Juan Soto is the run-up to Acuna Jr. for Rookie of the Year, he still has just as bright of a future at only 22 years old. My favorite player to watch, Soto continues to improve each season as he was awarded the National League batting title with a .351 batting average and a .490 on-base percentage for the 2020 season. A top MVP candidate and All-Star in every season he's played, Mike Trout has been the most consistent player in baseball and shown no signs of slowing down going into his age 29 season. Although not being at the top of most lists, one of my favorite picks is Cincinnati Reds outfielder Nick Castellanos. In the 2020 season, he was very underwhelming, only hitting .225 in 60 games. Knowing he had to step it up, Castellanos is on fire to start this season, hitting .474 with 4 home runs, leading the way for the 7-3 Cincinnati Reds. Aaron Judge, one of the most complicated players in fantasy baseball. After his Rookie of the Year season in 2017, where he led the league with 52 home runs, he has had trouble staying on the field ever since. Judge has only played in 242 of 384 games in 3 seasons since the 155-game season in 2017, showing his massive ceiling and low floor, all come in a risky high draft pick. A favorite outfield pick of mine is Mike Yastrzemski of the San Francisco Giants. He had a breakout 2020 season, hitting .297 with 4 triples, finishing 8th in MVP voting, and all at 30 years old. One of the biggest surprises to start the 2020 season is the emergence of Detroit Tigers outfielder Akil Baddoo. The former Rule 5 pick burst onto the scene in spring training and hasn't looked back, hitting .500 to start the season with 7 RBIs, and is a great story for the Tigers this season. Despite no designated hitter in the National League this season, there's still plenty of upside with the American League DH. The main DH options that stand out to me are Yordan Alvarez, JD Martinez, Nelson Cruz, Giancarlo Stanton, and Jorge Soler. While those are the main options DH, I'm primarily interested in Nelson Cruz and Jorge Soler for the designated hitter. Players like Yordan, JD, and Stanton all have league-winning upside, but have trouble staying healthy. I would not want to take the draft risk on them. Soler has some injury issues as well, but I would select him over the others based on where they're drafted and their risk assessment. Even going into this season at 40 years old, Nelson Cruz continues to hit well every season. Ever since breaking out at the age of 28, he has been a consistent source of RBIs and home runs, with at least 37 home runs in 6 of the past 7 seasons, and all with a great batting average, resulting in a great draft pick. One player to keep your eye on is the surprise breakout star Yermin Mercedes of the Chicago White Sox. A career minor leaguer, he was a surprise addition to the White Sox roster after the injury to Eloy Jimenez, and he got the start DH and has not disappointed, hitting .565 and starting his major league career 8 for 8 at the plate, all at 28 years old. Now starting pitchers. The rankings for starters can vary from year to year. Out of all positions in baseball, starting pitching usually has the most breakout or surprise players each season. Top 3 starting pitchers to me are Jacob deGrom of the Mets, Gerrit Cole of the Yankees, and Shane Bieber of the Indians. Throughout his career, Jacob deGrom is one of the most consistent players in all of baseball. After winning the Cy Young Award back-to-back in 2018 and 2019, he only followed that up by finishing 3rd for the Cy Young in 2020, but led the league in strikeouts with 104 in 68 innings. The only downside with deGrom is that he doesn't get many wins with no run support to back him up. Although he hasn't won a Cy Young Award yet, Gerrit Cole is still one of the most dominant pitchers in the game. In 2019, he led the league with a .250 ERA and 326 strikeouts, en route to a World Series appearance. One of the best strikeout pitchers in the league, Cole was a huge free agent signing for the Yankees last offseason, and he is the big X factor for them to succeed in the 2021 season. My favorite starting pitcher to target in drafts is Indians ace Shane Bieber. He was lights out last season, leading the league with a .163 ERA and 122 strikeouts. His big season awarded him the American League Cy Young Award, and he can single-handedly win you strikeouts. Other top starters include 2020 National Cy Young Award winner Trevor Bauer, Yu Darvish in his first season with the Padres, and breakout aces Walker Buehler and Lucas Giolito. While some targets a little later on I like are Tyler Glasnow, Jose Berrios, and Kyle Hendricks. Glasnow will be relied upon even more than before to help carry the Rays to success after Charlie Morton left in free agency and they traded Blake Snell to the Padres. While Berrios is someone who will give you a lot of innings and a lot of strikeouts with the arsenal to throw a no-hitter any given week if he can put it all together. Kyle Hendricks is one of the most underrated and forgotten starters in baseball. He can be very hit or miss, but he doesn't walk many batters and he gets a lot of quality starts. A big storyline of this season is Angels two-way superstar Shohei Ohtani, one of the best all-around athletes in the game. Ohtani hasn't pitched since his Rookie of the Year campaign in 2018 due to elbow injuries. This season, he will DH regularly and pitch every Sunday. He might have one of the highest ceilings in the MLB. After a strong spring training, he is a favorite to win his first MVP award if all goes right. Now, a sleeper I like this season is Willie Castro of the Detroit Tigers. In only 36 games last season, he had an insane .349 batting average. He's eligible at third base and shortstop, making him a popular late round or waiver wire target. Another sleeper I'm looking for is Angels first baseman Jared Walsh. In only 32 games last season, he hit 9 home runs. Although it's unclear how playing time will be split between him and Albert Pujols, he has huge power upside that's definitely worth the gamble. A bold prediction I have for this season is that Shohei Ohtani lives up to the hype and finishes with 30-plus home runs and an under 3 ERA, all leading to him finishing top 3 in MVP voting. If Ohtani can successfully play both ways the whole season, it could end up being a historical season for the Angels X Factor. I'm all in on the Ohtani hype train, and you should be too. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for tuning into Fantasy on the Clock. Join me next time as I continue to guide you through one of the craziest fantasy seasons yet.